find that people who are abundant live in a more lucrative headspace. You can access a feeling of being authentically yourself. You can access a feeling of contentment. The more you work from that energy, the more money you will generate. It's like, okay, well, when is it safe for me to shift into a different way of moving through this if how I survived was just to work like crazy and sacrifice everything? You can access a feeling of being authentically yourself. You can access a feeling of contentment. The more you work from that energy, the more money you will generate.
This is the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast, where we are here to educate, equip, and inspire people to build extraordinary companies. We're so glad you're here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can get updates every time we drop a new episode. Now let's get it started. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. My name is Rick Meekins, and I'm going to be your host today. And in our studio, we have Amy Kemp. Amy, how are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me, Rick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Amy, you were going to have to tell us all about this issue that we're having across the world. Money. This is our problem. This is our challenge. So we are about ready to get into that. But let me do this real quick. Okay, folks, if you haven't done it already, I would really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and hit the bell. So every time we drop a new episode, you get an update. And if you would share that with folks that you love and care about, I would love that even more. So without further ado, let's get it started. Amy, can you give us a little background, who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start closest. I've been working within the context of a business I accidentally started 8 years ago.
Oops.
Oops is right. I did it again, actually. But this business, I use an assessment tool called the Habit Finder that measures your subconscious habits of thinking and then the curriculum with it. And I work with leaders one-on-one or in small groups to help them replace habits of thinking that are deeply worn but not serving them anymore in this capacity. And then just recently published my very first book in this professional iteration, which the core message of the book is that you can't outwork your thought habits. So a lot of my work today revolves around not just conscious thinking and habits, but actually what's going on at a deeper level.
Okay.
Before that, I had a long career in leadership, business leadership and sales, and then a very short stint even before that as a teacher for a few years. But outside of work, have three fairly grown, they're grown-ish kids. So my kids are 22, 19, and 14.
Oh my goodness.
And then my husband is a basketball coach, an assistant principal at our local high school. And we're very actively involved in our community. And I play a lot of pickleball, Rick. I'm just going to confess to start us off.
Right. And that's where when we had our first conversation, that's where you were going. You were running off to a pickleball
I'm
match.
typically going there. Yes.
You were on a roll with the kids and their ages and stuff. I thought you were going to tell us your husband's age.
I'm not even sure of that. I'm not sure of my own age on most days. I feel like you get past a certain point, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, right. You just stop counting. It's like, you know what? I'm just 34 and just sticking with it.
To infinity, yes.
Exactly. I'm really curious. You were talking about the habit finder.
Mm-hmm.
So, immediately, give me an example. Give me a story that, an experience that you had where this was used and what the outcomes were.
Yeah. I'll give you one from just this week. I had a call with a client who, she worked for a long time in education. She did some really incredible work with populations of students that are not thriving in a traditional academic setting. She's an outside of the box thinker, but also had some real mindsets around money. Since we're going to be talking about that today, she's a good example around money, but a lot of also just deeply worn subconscious habits of thinking around work being connected to income. Like the only way I can earn more is to work more or longer or harder. A lot of subconscious habits of thinking around scarcity, around fear about the future and retirement. She's, not far from retiring, but
Mhm.
also not super close. And so there's kind of an imminent it's coming feeling. But a lot of her habits of thinking around money were rooted in fear, growing up with not enough. And then while she was doing incredible and impactful work, undervaluing it in the marketplace, not understanding her value. So she started a business. She does now some consulting and is just about fully retired from teaching early because of this work
Mhm.
that this business she's building. What's fascinating is that the transition has been really difficult and has kind of triggered some old stuff of fear around money. Because for the first time, the paycheck isn't like what someone else is telling her it's going to be. There's no guarantee. And so a lot of our work was around how do you price your offerings? How do you know the value of it? Is it based on hours? Is it based on your degree? Is it based on, what
Yeah.
that whole kind of conversation? But she just sent me a text this week and said she, I think it was tripled or quadrupled her gross income in the last year and is working fewer hours than she ever has before, doing more impactful work
Wow.
than ever in her whole life.
Wow.
And that's a beautiful thing. I
I
love that so
we
much.
we need to talk about that a little bit more. I need to get my little paper and pencil and
Yeah, I'm happy.
see what you did. See what kind of
Mhm.
magic you worked in her life. My goodness. I mean,
Mm.
that's the conversation, you know? It's I see so many people that seem to operate from a scarcity mindset. They've gotta, grab and grab and grab and grab and grab, as much as they can. And it's like it looks like a hamster wheel. It looks like they're, you know, spending so much time, working and doing everything. They don't ever seem to appear that they've got a level of contentment or satisfaction. And it sounds like that's what your work is about. Yeah.
Yeah. I describe it my clients are not interested overall, I would say, in just an increase in income.
Okay.
Most of them have generated income and know they can. There's this I think of it like a triangle of these 3 components they're looking for all at once, which would be getting paid what they're worth in the marketplace. This is a concept that's really interesting because sometimes people get uncomfortable when I say that. Like, does that mean some people are more valuable than other people? Absolutely not. I think as human beings, we all have equal value, at least in my belief system. However, our talents and skills do have different values in our marketplace. And so making sure that you're getting paid what that talent and skill and contribution or the value you're adding is worth in the marketplace. And there are certain talents and skills that have a higher value. If you're a brain surgeon, there are fewer people who can do that work. And so that work is more valuable in our marketplace.
Yeah.
A lot of times, business leaders will underestimate or even not see themselves as having great value or recognizing the full value of what they're adding, that it's rare. Not everyone can take a team of people and mobilize them to create something in a business or, so it's that whole conversation. So there's this, what the value of my contribution. I want to get paid that.
Hmm.
I want to have a quality of life. Like, I'm not willing to sacrifice these parts of my life in pursuit of that money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, I always tell people I want to work like a teacher. I work from 8 to 3, Monday through Friday. I really have a hard time doing anything productive past 3 p.m. my entire life. It doesn't, I'm not doing anyone any good after 3 p.m. usually. So I want to work 8 to 3 Monday through Friday. I want my summers lighter and I want time off when my kids are off breaks and my husband. And I want to get paid like a CEO. So there's this framework of like, can you ask for both of those things and can you create both of those things,
Yeah.
right? Not in every profession, no. But overall, can you in our world today? Yeah, you can.
Wow.
And then the third is your passion and purpose. Is the work I'm doing in alignment with who I was created to be? Am I
Right.
doing the thing that feels easy to me but astonishes everyone else? Am I doing the work that when I'm doing it, I have this sensation of like being worked through, like there's something bigger than me coming through my talents and moving out into the world to serve people in a very real way?
That makes
So
sense.
it's those 3 where I think the cross section of what my clients are wanting lies.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. One of the I guess in a similar conversation I had with someone, they they felt that there was a revelation that they should make, X number of dollars, per hour for their business. And I was a little bit challenged, and I'm hoping that you can talk me through this, but I was a little bit challenged in that while they felt like, they were worth a certain amount, I couldn't really see how the market would say, "Hey, you know what? Yes, we should pay this much for that." How do you work with folks through that conversation?
Mhm. Sometimes the market tells you, right? I mean, if the price is at a point where you're not getting any clients, you're getting feedback,
Yeah.
right? More often, though, I hear the conversation around, can I ask for more? Is it okay for me? Is that selfish? Should I feel guilty? I even had someone just recently who I knew from a past professional. We were having a conversation and she's very direct. So I appreciate this about her, but she said, "So I looked on your website at your prices and they're very high." And she said, "Do people actually pay you that much?" And I paused for a second because I was trying to formulate like what my answer would be. And I said, "The funny thing is, I've learned I'm worth that much." And so, yes, they do. And the other thing I learned is that my prices didn't start where they are, but when I saw the results that my clients were getting, not per hour, not we're exchanging time for money, but more when they invested in this work with me, it quadrupled the size of their business. Then there's a great value in that work. And so I believe in more of a value based fee than like an hourly fee in the type of work that I do. Not everyone can do that, right? But I'm more looking at it in exchange for value than I am time for money. I find that like people who are abundant and who live in a more lucrative headspace think that way more than they do. They're not constantly counting hours and money.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, agreed, 100%. Yeah, I've seen
Mhm.
that. I've heard that story as well. Where someone came in and they, created value for an organization or a person. They went back and doubled their rates, asked for it, got it, doubled their rates again, asked for it, and got it.
Mhm.
And it's remarkable. I think there's, I mean, but I think there's something to be said about getting out of that scarcity mindset though, because this is something I think in a lot of places where it's like ingrained at birth. It's always been, especially if you're
It's
coming from.
very Yes, it's very generational, very much so. I would encourage actually anyone listening who is wrestling in this space of wanting to earn more income. There's gotta be a going back and understanding your relationship with money
Mm,
and where it came from. All of the trauma around money, the messaging that you heard constantly said about people who have money, about, the judgment, either whether they had it or not. Uh, we give our power away to money so frequently, we don't even know we're doing it. The way that I do it personally is I give money the power to make me feel safe and secure. When actually I have complete power over feeling safe and secure right now where I am, no matter what, like just within myself, right? I can access that feeling. If I'm operating from that feeling, I'm likely going to generate way more income if I'm operating from a grounded place of safety and security than I am if I'm chasing money because I need to feel safe and secure.
you know, that was powerful. I know that we can rewind, but I would love it if you would say that again.
Yeah. Let's see if I can. So, what I my old habit, I'll phrase it that way, is that I look at my bank account to tell me whether I'm safe or secure. And as an entrepreneur, in my book, I write about this, I'll give it to you. And this is kind of a different way of saying the same thing. I used to be, imagine a person in the ocean on a surfboard, let's say, but I'm just riding the waves of my business. If things are going well, I'm like so pumped. I'm so safe. I'm so confident. I'm so secure. If the bank account is high, right? But then the bank account goes down because actually I've never known a business where that doesn't happen at some point, right? I mean, there's just doesn't exist. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, it will eventually, right? Where it goes down. Then I'm sputtering underwater, frantically screaming for survival internally. What I learned is I could swim to the shore, go to the store, buy one of those little chairs and a beach umbrella, and I could observe the water, the money. I'm using water as like the money example. And I could see from the shore, there's no shortage. No shortage. There's plenty of water in the ocean. I also could see it's supposed to go up and down. I also could see, yeah, sometimes there are storms. I mean, we just went through a global pandemic, right? Like there are storms that happen that are out of our control, but also the tides come in and they go out and we don't worry about it. We are just observing it. We're letting the water move. We're letting the money move. Okay. So I'm separating my feeling of safety and security from that money. When that happens, when you are able to make that separation, even at the point where it feels like you need money the most, then money tends to start to move around you and through you and to you in greater quantities than ever before.
Hmm.
But money responds to energy. It responds if you cling, if you fear, if you hoard, if you hold on to, if you're angry that some people have it, if you're judgmental of people who have it, it will flee from you because no one wants to be in a relationship with someone who's like being that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's an energetic entity. And so it responds to our energy.
Wow, I've heard people talk about that before as well. I never
Hmm.
really never, I guess, got a grasp. So if you were to take me, if you were to take me on a trip and say,
Hmm.
okay, Rick, I'm gonna teach you how money is an energy and how you can change your thinking about that. What would that journey be like?
Yeah. I would start with your childhood.
Okay.
I would wanna know, like, what were the messages you heard about money growing up? I work with a lot of women. A lot of women have learned money isn't theirs to think about. A lot of women haven't been taught the how to handle the weight of providing,
Hmm.
or they've learned that having money a lot of kind of spiritual places or religious places that money is evil or that it corrupts you. I don't know that. I think it's important to just understand and to be able to articulate what were your messages about money growing up? What did you learn about money? And then is that story helping you? Is it serving you anymore? Or is there a need for a new story? I work a lot with clients on where is money blocked? Where is money not moving? Where are you clinging to or in any way? So I'll give you an example. I had a client who loaned money to someone, a pretty substantial amount of money. I think it was actually for some sort of education. And that person did not pay her back. But she no, oh, no, wait, no. She didn't loan them money. She co-signed on the loan
Okay.
because now she has to make the payment.
Right.
That's what it was. And the person who she co-signed for in good faith is not paying. And she can see on social media is out and about gallivanting, going on vacations and doing all kinds of things while she knows they're not paying for this loan. So we talked about it a lot because a lot of her energy around money was being pissed off
Yeah.
about this situation. And
Yeah.
it wasn't fair. It wasn't. So the more we talked about it, it was like, so how do I take my power back from that situation? First of all, no one forced her to sign on that line. She made the choice. So she had to do like ownership, full responsibility.
Yeah.
right? Also, I said, how much are you thinking about this all the time? What is bringing it to the forefront of your mind? Social media, unfollow the person. Get that story out of your face. You don't need the daily reminder so that the anger comes up, right?
Yeah.
And then I just said, can you just clear the loan? Do you have enough money in your savings? Can you just get it done with? They're not going to pay it back. You know that. And then even if they do or whatever, maybe someday they realize they were wrong, just let it go. Just send that money into the world and release it. Release all of it. She did that. There has been a shift that is so significant in how easily and abundantly money is flowing into her world since she freed up all of that energy that was going toward it in a negative way.
Wow, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. What
So
are
there's a lot like that that just like stops up the movement of money around us. Yeah.
what are some other examples of
Mm.
blockages?
Oh, that's a good question. Sometimes it's relational. Sometimes I find that like the person who's struggling with it isn't really the person, it's the person they're married to or their partner with work. And once they're what the money so the chapter in my book about money is called Money is a Mirror.
Yeah.
So what money can reveal is I'm married to a dysfunctional person. Or I'm in a business relationship with a dysfunctional person, and either we need a new agreement about how the money moves through our business. But I've had so many people who, upon leaving a dysfunctional relationship with someone, find out I'm actually really good with money. I was just in a relationship with the person who wasn't. So
Yeah.
it can reveal things like that, right? I just had a client who kind of restructured her business. Her survival mechanism is perfectionism and performance. I will perform and be perfect in everything I do, and that's how I survive and thrive. Like, that's how she created everything in her life.
Yeah.
But also, I am responsible, she learned this growing up, for the experiences of other people around me. Like, it's my job to kind of manage that so that I'm safe. So, what happened was in this business partnership, kind of over the years, she was not only growing the business, but she was managing the business of the other person in an unfair way and not getting compensated for it. So a lot of our work was around it's not about the money. I mean, yes, she deserved to be paid more and it was an unfair agreement, but what it really revealed was this pattern of like she felt responsible for that other person's success or failure.
Mhm.
And so a lot of the letting go of it, it's been hard to receive the money she deserves now. She has felt like, is that wrong for me to let this person have her own experience, let her potentially fail if she's not doing the work and not competent?
Yeah.
Is it okay for me to just let that go and just do my part of the business and protect myself?
Yeah.
So it shows up in so many ways. It has so much great information for us. We also earn what we truly, truly believe we're worth,
That's interesting.
which is devastatingly hard to accept.
Yeah, absolutely. And my question is related to that. What is that mechanism by which we're able to kind of gauge how we're doing?
Okay. What I know is when people start to grow internally and they start to heal, they understand their value, they understand their worth in the craziest, most unforeseen, never predictable, unexpected ways, their income will start to change and grow. So rather than focusing on it as a negative, like, oh, I think I'm worth very much. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
I like to shift it and kind of focus on let's work on you. Let's work on some of these habits of thinking that aren't serving you. This habit that's saying, I'm only valuable if I earn this much. I'm only valuable if I produce this much. I'm only valuable if I serve this many clients. Let's work on some of that. Let's separate that feeling of value from your performance. And as people start to do that, the unhinging of those two things, it's the craziest thing because I can't tell you how it's going to happen, but I will just tell you that all of a sudden you'll be earning more than you ever have before. But people think it's external. I'm going to go out and I'm going to work harder and I'm going to learn this thing and I'm going to figure out how to earn more. And not that the healing might not lead you to a different path, but wow, is it ever interesting to see how it all plays out?
Yeah, my goodness, my goodness. I keep circling back to that, to the idea of energy
Mm.
and the idea of that. It's like a paradigm shift. I mean, you start out by talking about, hey, you know what, I've got to go out and I've got to work harder in order to get more customers, et cetera, et cetera. But you're teaching people that, or I mean, with your construct, I mean, it's like that's not the case.
Mhm.
And we just need to think differently. I mean, that's
Mhm.
that's huge.
It's huge.
Because it's not something that's tangible. It's not something you can say, okay, I'm getting closer and closer and closer. It's just like, it's the way that you described it, it's like flipping a switch. It's like I'm not
It's a flip.
bound by this anymore.
Totally. Yes. Okay, let me ask you a question. If there was, and it doesn't, the dollar amount doesn't matter, but in your mind, just picture a dollar amount where you're like, if I was making that a month, I would feel like I had made it.
Mhm.
Okay. So you have this dollar amount. It's like arbitrary. What do you think you would feel if you were earning that amount each month? Can you describe the feeling of your experience?
I think there would be. I think it's multi. There's a feeling of contentment, I think, because
Hmm.
I feel like I wouldn't be chasing
Yeah,
constantly, and I would be
I
able
love that.
to. And the other two arms of the construct, it's like purpose. Something is,
Mm.
uh, pur you know, I'm driven by purpose, and so I would feel like I could live that, fully.
Mm.
And then
Like
lifestyle-wise,
fulfilled? You'd feel fulfilled because you were, like, living your purpose?
yes, but not
Mhm.
because of the money, but more
The work.
because I don't have to worry about other things,
Yeah.
and then that other piece.
So free from the worry of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay. I'm writing this
And
down.
then lifestyle-wise, I think there are things that I would like to be able to do that I just enjoy doing, just going out and saying,
Mm.
"Hey, let's go to Colorado. Let's go whitewater rafting for this weekend." That would be cool.
And how would that feel if you could do that?
It's freeing. It's like
Yeah.
authentically me. These are the
Yeah.
things that I enjoy doing. And it's not a I think what I always like to say, or what I would always say, it's yeah, I don't feel like it's an accomplishment, to make that money, but rather it's an enabler to
What it allows
do
you
other
to
things.
do,
Yes.
the choices it gives you.
Yes, exactly.
So here's what I would say. So you're saying, like, content, fulfilled, free from worry, authentically aligned with who I am.
Yes.
If you can, no matter the amount of money in your bank account right now, you can access those feelings. The feelings you think your brain is telling you the money will give you. If every day, even for an hour of your day, you access those feelings and you do the work that is in front of you from those feelings, right?
Mhm.
With those feelings already intact, you will create more money than you ever have before. So it's like we're giving the power away to the money to have us feel these things,
Mhm.
which I understand, like, whitewater rafting you can't do, but you can access a feeling of being authentically yourself. You can access a feeling of contentment. You can access, right? Like at any time, you can access that no matter where you are. The more you work from that energy, the more money you will generate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the flip of it, which is super cool because it's like anyone can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but we're actually, like, putting ourselves sort of in a victim relationship without realizing it, of, like, giving our power away to the money, thinking it's going to give us those feelings. When in actuality, we can have the feelings, work from there, and create huge quantities of wealth.
So if I
Mhm.
understand you correctly, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going back to the triangle. It seems as though if we've identified the first two, we've identified the life that we want to live, we identify
Mhm.
our purpose, our mission, the third, we attract the money. Is that what you're saying? And live that every
Yeah,
day.
but not like in a hokey, you just sit in your living room and it just moves, not like
That part.
that. No, no, no. This is how I have experienced it personally, is that if I can access the feelings that I want to have in my world, that just kind of like what you described,
Hmm.
I tend to receive inspired ideas
Mm,
that then I get to go into my workday and do the millimeter steps
mm.
of creating those ideas, the tiniest little, my to-do list right here that I'm checking each thing off of my to-do list
Why
as
is
the
your
day
to-do
goes
list so
on.
small?
It's because I only do that many a day. But like, the tiniest little steps of creation.
Hmm.
That's the process of creating. It's not like I am visualizing, I'm getting the inspired idea, I'm seeing where I want to be, but it's more about the coming back from that and getting to work on those tiny millimeter steps in the right energy
Yeah,
that creates the movement of money around me.
yeah.
I also need to make sure I'm not moving too fast. So this is interesting. I'll do a pickleball analogy because I'm learning a lot right now about pickleball.
Okay.
So in pickleball, when someone serves to me, I'm going to hit a drive shot back to them,
Hmm.
right? My inclination is then to just run as fast as I can, like to the line, because I want to get up to the kitchen because I like to play. That's where you win, right? I want to get there and I'm so eager. And what I'm learning right now is like, I can hit my drive shot, but then just pause and then just wait and see what happens and then respond and then move forward
Mm,
and then hit the next shot and then wait and see.
mm,
So what I want to do is just keep pounding the ball and running forward instead of this, like, there's a reciprocal, like I receive an idea, I take a shot. Then I just wait for a second. See what feedback I get. What's happening? What am I observing? Take another shot, and I'll actually make faster progress moving forward than just if I'm hitting and running as fast as I can. And I find that to be true in business for me also. My inclination is to just hit it and run as fast as I can. I want to run as fast as but it's more for me, the process of creating income and wealth through my business is more one of receive an inspired idea, take action on it,
hmm.
get feedback from the world. Do I need to tweak something? Take another shot. But it's a slower pace and a much more not dependent on just me, but
Mm,
on my allowing this process to happen through me.
mm,
That's the kind of energy you can hear it in my voice. I can feel it in my body. That's the kind of energy that allows money to move toward me. Not the, I got to figure this out. What do I need to do? And how come?
yeah.
That is not an energy that is attractive to money.
It was interesting. I noticed that when and it's probably the exact same thing you just said, but being in certain emotional states, it's much more difficult to, kind of get those downloads, to get those really creative cream of the crop ideas. And it's like, as you said, I mean, it's just something you just put together, panic. It's like, okay, let's put this out and see if we, see if we can hit something.
Yes.
That's
Or it's like, this person's doing that, so maybe I should do that. And this person said this, so maybe I should do that. And this person looks like they're succeeding, and so I should just imitate that. Instead of a like, hey, I've been given this clay and this life and these kids to parent and this neighborhood I live in, and I have this clay. And so
mm,
today, what am I receiving that I'm supposed to do with my unique clay. Like that I got to get my hands in there and work with it. Not
Mm,
somebody else's clay,
yeah.
not how they were raised or their gifts or I have people tell me all the time like that I should scale my business. Like I got all kinds of people telling me all kinds of things about that, right?
Mhm.
When I get still, I don't need to worry about scaling. I receive and create more than I ever imagined.
Mm,
It doesn't need to come from an expert. I need to be plugged in. I need to listen and be still enough to listen and receive.
yeah, yeah,
And then I need to believe I'm worth receiving the rewards at that high of a level.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Wow. Again, paradigm shift.
mm,
Very, very different thinking. Is this what your business has always been about?
that's kind of what my life has always been about.
Yeah.
Unintentionally. I mean, I worked in sales leadership, developing people who were in sales for a very long time. So it was a lot of the same work. This work I do with habits of thinking is a much more refined and clear expression of that work because what stops a lot of that progress that I'm describing, that receiving, taking action, is our subconscious habits of thinking. Because we are hardwired to survive. I mean, we really are. And so if something flies, if how you survived was working really hard, and then I'm saying to you, chill out and go more slowly, everything in you is going to be screaming danger at a subconscious level.
Exactly.
Right? So there's a lot of just rewiring that has to happen, to elevate past a certain point. Now, I will also say this isn't my message and work tends to be more for someone who has put some years in and maybe built something. You know, they've gotten to a certain place where just working harder isn't going to get them to the next thing. If you're sitting on the couch and haven't started working, that's not this isn't you know what I'm saying? Like, get to work.
You gotta do your part. Yeah, absolutely. You gotta
Yeah.
put in the reps.
Yeah. But this message is for people who have dug some ditches. They've built a career. They've started something.
Yeah,
They've moved along down the road a little bit. Now they want to go to the next place. And it's like, I can't work any harder. I don't have any more time or energy to give to this, but I still want to grow it to the next level.
yeah.
That's when you need to dig deeply and look at some of these patterns.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see that over and over again with founders. They've had their companies, and they kind of plateau. It's like they're just not getting. As you described, they're not getting the downloads. They're not in that
Mm,
place anymore because they're operating from, "Hey, I've got to run my company. I've got to take care of this. I got to take care of that," and it's kind of like panic mode for them.
yeah. They do this to it takes like for an airplane to get off the ground a lot of fuel.
Hmm.
So if you keep operating like that, once you're off the ground in an airplane, you will crash and burn,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that's the shift. It's like, okay, well, when is it safe for me to like shift into a different way of moving through this if how I survived was just to work like crazy and sacrifice everything. It's like, yeah, but you keep doing that, you're going to crash and burn and not just your business, your body, your relationships, your family.
yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
do.
So there's a point of shifting where it's like, okay, now let's shift. You're at cruising altitude. You don't need to be doing things the same way that you once were.
Yeah, yeah. So if I hear you correctly, so say I'm a new entrepreneur and I'm bringing my product to market, I still need to grind it out before I get into what you're describing. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I mean, I still don't think you need to work 100 hours a week and give up. I I'll say this. I built a business that was extremely successful and I've always worked probably on average 25 to 30 hours a week, right? But I had little people I was raising. I didn't have the luxury of being absent from my life. Or maybe I did, but I didn't want to be. That was why I was doing it
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
for those people, right? Like, I wasn't willing to sacrifice our family or time with them, even though sometimes that's the hardest part, honestly, right? Like, that's the hardest work that I do. But, like, that was such a high value to me.
Hmm.
And so I didn't want to look back and say, I built this huge successful thing, but this is a mess.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't, that wasn't appealing to me at all. So, do I think you can build a business within some boundaries? Do you hustle? Absolutely, within the hours you've given it each day.
Yeah, yeah,
But that doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice all of that to build something really, really successful and lucrative.
yeah, yeah. I've got to tell you, I mean, I guess I don't know. I'll use the term loosely successful. You know, I've built, you know, successful companies that were doing really, really well. And to be honest with you, I mean, I wasn't happy. You know, I was working, you know, 70, 80 hours a week. That satisfaction wasn't there. The lifestyle, you know, wasn't
Yeah.
there.
The quality of life.
And my kids were just like, you know, they're growing up and they're just like, oh, dad's working, dad's working, dad's working. It's like that it doesn't, you know, looking back, I mean, it doesn't make sense. And to your point, I mean, I do work less now, you know, and I do have a greater level of satisfaction. And yeah,
Mhm.
you're
No, it's
spot
very
on.
true. And I think also we have relationships with our businesses just like we do with people,
Hmm.
and they require boundaries to be healthy. And businesses are hungry, greedy little bastards. I
Yeah,
mean,
they are.
they will take from you your money, your time. And I love business. I love it. I
Yeah,
mean, if I actually think it's like one of the most fun things in the whole world growing a business,
yeah,
right? Like I kind of get a kick out of it. But I know that is my temptation to overwork, overgive to that entity. And I know it will take as much as I will give it. And that's why the boundary for me is work like a teacher, earn like a CEO, meaning, okay, and I write about this in my book, a client who, potential client, I still want to work with her. She was so amazing,
yeah.
right? And she said, great. The only time I'm ready to go, I want to work with you. The only time I can meet is at 6 p.m. And so then I have to make a decision, you know,
Yeah,
okay, it's a lot of money. It's a person I care about who is totally ready for the work I do,
yeah.
right? And I just had to say, if you can't make it work during the lunch hour or during this time, like it's just not going to be a fit.
Oh, wow.
I can't do it. So I had to just walk away. That's where the boundary, that's where the rubber meets the road. Are you willing to test it and really uphold and practice the boundary with that business?
Yeah.
Because I think you can have both, but I think it's a constant pushing against that. Constantly. It's businesses are constantly pushing on our boundaries, just like teenagers. They're a lot like teenagers, actually, right? Like they're just pushing, pushing. Is it still there? Is it still there? Is it still there? Are you still going to hold that boundary?
Yeah.
Yeah. My son, every night, his phone has to be up at a certain time in my bathroom, right? Every night. It's just pushing. That's how I think of a business pushing against your boundaries.
Does he conveniently forget every single
I don't e There's a whole nother podcast on that, Rick. And then, like, suddenly he's forgotten something in my bathroom when
Yes.
there's nothing in my bathroom that he needs, little addict.
Yeah, it's just like, "You know what? I was never a teenager before." Been there, done that.
Totally.
Did you wanna talk about your
Mhm.
book? You alluded to it several times.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm so proud of it. I didn't write this book about something. I really wrote it for someone,
Oh, wow.
and that is for someone who wants to earn more income, have a greater impact, and have more influence on the world without more work. Really written from a place of my own personal like struggle with that. I will not miss these parts of my life. I I cannot work anymore or harder. But I still am ambitious. I want more. I want to impact more. And if that's you, I wrote the book for you and I'm really proud of it and the impact that it's having on my readers. So, yeah, it's called I See You. You can find it anywhere you get books, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, your favorite independent bookstore can order it for you also.
Cool, cool, cool. You know what we'll do is we'll put a link to it in your show notes, so anybody that wants to grab a copy can do that. We're about to wrap up. What is the big thing that you want people that watch or listen to this episode to walk away with?
Um, Personal growth always precedes professional growth that is lasting and fulfilling. You can grow something really big without it,
Mhm.
but it gets unruly and it kind of takes over. And so to just do the growth process of grow yourself, grow the thing. Grow yourself, grow the thing. And if it's more incremental and slow than your neighbor or your friend or the person you're watching on social media, it's okay, because what you're growing isn't just a business. I want you to create the fullness of your life. I want you to use a business to have the quality of life and the income you deserve, not for the business to become your life. But I don't think that's possible without you doing that deeper internal work of really figuring out what your drivers are. And then also just being really compassionate with yourself that a lot of what's driving you, you learned because it helped you survive. But when you apply something, survival mechanism past the point of needing it, it will become damaging and detrimental.
Yes. Yes.
And so just to grow you, I think, grow you as you grow the thing. Um,
That's brilliant. I love that. I love that. And you have a giveaway you wanted to talk to our audience about. What is that giveaway?
yeah, I would love to invite you to take the habit finder. This is the tool I use. This is not a personality assessment or strengths. So if you've done any of those types of assessments, all really valuable, just so different from this tool. This tool is going to show you where your brain is at risk of falling into certain subconscious, you're not aware of it, patterns of thinking.
Hmm.
It's the only tool that I know that gets below the surface and really helps you see what are those habits of thinking that are interfering with my creating what I really want. And so you can take it, you get all the results right away in an email, along with there's a 44-page PDF version that breaks down all of your results that you get, and it's free. So you can take it on my website, which is my name, amykemp.com.
Awesome, awesome, and we will definitely
Yeah,
put a link to that as well. So thank you so
cool.
much. I mean,
Hmm.
the offer sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to go
Mm,
and do that. But
I would
thank you.
be so curious.
Me too. Me too. Me too. But thank you so much for being on the show. I've learned a lot. You've inspired me. I certainly appreciate it.
Thanks so much. It's been a joy.
Folks, thank you so much for watching or listening to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. Keep winning.